Hey folks, welcome back to your Frederick Real Estate Update. I am Darren Ahern with RE/MAX Results, and I have with me back from Ocean City and the Big Fish White Marlin Tournament from Presidential Bank, Mr.
Terry Kernan.
All right, who won the money? Tell me. You didn't. We talked really quick, and then you had to take another call before. I think it was the other day. So I didn't get to hear about the fish stories.
So the fish
what happened?
The big fish story.
Yeah.
So you got the White Marlin Tournament. I talked about this last week. I'll make it very quick. But Google White Marlin Tournament, and the boat that caught the white marlin, the biggest white marlin, I think was a 74-pounder or 77-pounder, which isn't monster, but it's a 77-pound fish that brought in $4.5 million.
They did. So somebody got a 70-some pounder.
Somebody got it.
Brought the thing in and got $4.5 million fish. Man, that bad boy, you want to definitely mount that up on the ceiling. Special right there.
Crazy. And then the blue marlin category.
Yeah, how did that work out?
That was, and I talked about Frank Sherman, having the boat, the Cabana, and they brought in a white marlin that did not qualify on the last day. So we were pulling for Frank and his boat. But yeah, that's about it.
Woo!
But it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. If you like fishing but don't want to go way out, you can go to the White Marlin Open and just enjoy the scales and the feeling, the electricity that's there. It's really pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So,
it's gotten big. It's got big. Was Michael Jordan's boat there?
So we did see Michael Jordan. We actually pulled up to Michael Jordan's boat, and he was on the boat.
Oh, okay.
And we backed up to it because we were betting whether it was him or not.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law, Ed, we were on his boat, and he said, looked up, and he goes, "Hey, Michael, just wanted to make sure it was you. We were betting to see if it was you." And he says, "It's me." So
hey, Mikey.
Was there.
Cool.
I have a first-hand sighting, but just an amazing week down at the White Marlin Open. Love to do it every year.
That's cool. Good stuff. All right. Well, I don't know if we have any fish stories in real estate right now, but let's get right to it, Terry. What's happening that you're dealing with and seeing in your world?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to my milestone.
I was going to say, I think somebody else got one coming.
So we got a lot of milestones
got that.
in the Kernan family. So last week my kids were a little upset that I didn't give them a shout out, so they made it be known.
Wow.
So,
there you go.
So there you go. So what's going on from the same week a year ago?
Right.
So what we're taking a look at is the business is way off. Why is the business way off? Big part of it is the summer.
I'll say seasonal's got to be a big
Very
deal right
seasonal,
now.
but it really is coming down to the rates. So what I did was I compared last year, same exact week. We're off 62% of the numbers. It's showing it basically a lot of people are out there. The supply still has to get up. We're going to go over those numbers, but they've got to get up. So what is holding people off? So technically, and I've talked about this on the show, and we went into it, is technically we've had 2 straight quarters of the gross domestic product shrinking. That means that technically we're in a recession. But they're saying, well, we can't be in a recession, even though it meets the definition, because unemployment went from 3.6 to 3.5. Is that an anomaly? Yes. I've never seen it and probably will not see it again. But what we're taking a look at is you've got these numbers coming out, and they're saying the PPI, the CPI, I went over that last week. Those numbers are unchanged. That shows that the inflation for the previous month has been suppressed, okay? The key word here is suppressed. We're holding it down. It's still trying to come up. So the rest of the economy is sitting here going, wow, we've got inflation under control. The decision makers, the Federal Reserve, the board, they basically say, no, we don't have it under control. We're not going to have these numbers sustainable. So they just met. They did not raise interest rates, but they pretty much guaranteed that they are going to raise interest rates in September, okay?
Yeah.
So everybody's going to kind of freak out again. But rates have dropped. Our rates have dropped down to like 5.5%. Here's the news: is that they're going to push us into a recession if we're not already there.
Yeah.
The building industry has already seen it. The building industry basically has claimed that they are in a recession. Forget what everybody else says. The building industry says that they're in a recession. They have 8 months of down, the lowest confidence since 2000, since the year 2000. So the building industry is taking it on the chin right now. We're seeing some of the larger builders. basically saying that up to 1 in 4 people are canceling their contracts because in 6 months. They're afraid of the next 6 months. So that's not good for confidence. So where am I all going with this, Darren? Is we're in a wait and see mode. We're going to see what's going to happen, but rates will be steady from here until September. And then I think we're going to see a little bit of panic in the market. They might go up a little bit, but they're going to continue to raise the cost of money, which they've been doing all year. And I wish they would do it at a slower pace. I think if they did it at a quarter percent,
yeah, slower rate,
then it wouldn't be such a.
About the Maryland whole statistical data numbers for July, now that we're a little over halfway through the year, I thought this was great information to get, Terry, is how in the units for 2020, 110 sales, and now so far year to date, we're at 73, 76. So it's a 27% change as far as volume down. That average price, though, it's 6.1.
So it's increased.
Yeah. So the
Just
good
so
news
everybody
is
knows
this.
that
This is what, yeah, it's up.
Appreciation is still there. It's
Still
just
there.
Not crazy.
Right. And even if we flatlined, let's just say, because sellers have that thing of, are we losing value yet? Are we going flat yet? Or no, we're still on the up climb. There's still some momentum there in most price things like that, only because inventory is low. But even if we flatline from now until December 31st, we would end up at 6% appreciation for the year, which is above the average, okay? So it's going to get spotty. Different price points, different areas, and all those things like that. We'll probably see that happen. They now up at 273 resales, but it makes sense because the lowest we had was around 100. So right now, the months of inventory across the state of Maryland is 1.3 months, which is about where we're at. And 2021, it was at 1.5. So we still have, which is funny, year to date, we still have less inventory now this whole year than we did last year, but it makes sense, even with the increases in inventory. But that number, I guarantee you, by December, it did in 2021, even if it's a tiny bit. That's my prediction as far as that. Actos 431 total. Again, we're not even past 500 total for right now. Resales 273 with an average days, 36 days on the market, which we've gone up. Like now the high end stuff, anything above $700,000 and $800,000, yes, you are in that 50 to 60 day average time on the market. But this is the average of everything like that. Median price average right now for sale is $480,000. So that's that slowdown of appreciation of going up. We were at about 500,000 with a new construction. When I factor that in, it makes you wonder, are some of these numbers based on the fact that we're building more townhouses, single families, which single families are definitely above $500,000. And it's these townhouses that you can get into for that 350, 375 price point maybe, that is causing the average median to stay below now 500,000. So that's that's something that just says, hey, this is seasonal.
Wow.
This is the slowdown. By the end of the year, will we ever see it get above, say, 75 or 100 coming soon, which is the number that I said is what's going to cause our resale and our active, the total numbers to get higher on an average.
37 coming soon.
That's it, 37. Yep. And I got one of them any minute.
A lot of people are at the White Marlin Open.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's what happened.
They were looking for Michael Jordan.
A lot of vacations.
That's what we're dealing with right now, and that comes to a halt now that school just kicked in this week. Resales 416, new 343. So total pending under contracts right now is 759. Now that is a very healthy number for this time of the year. It's a little less than it was last year, but last year was all.
Yes, and 343 are new
builds.
New builds.
So that shows you.
New constructions those listings are 158, it looks like.
Yeah, and that stays about the average. We stay right at that 150 to 165. It's been like that for a really long time.
Okay.
So, yeah, so what that means is with new construction, we still have a lot of those specs being put out there for sale right now, okay? And buyers are more apt that they like the idea that they can get into a new home based on, if they were fighting with all the competition of the things like that. So I think we're going to see that change up. That number will definitely, I think, come down little by little by little, especially with the affordability. Because unless new builds lower their base prices or lower their prices coming up, which we're not really seeing that. One thing I did hear, or they're willing to say, no, we keep the price where we negotiate what you chosen with options and the whole nine yards. The price stays the same, but we have a lender over here that's willing to lock in the rate right now until your home is built, no matter what, guaranteed. You don't have to worry about your rate changing at all. Well, that is really a huge incentive for a new person that's building brand new construction, because that's what the fear. I think that's what the fear is. I'm hearing the ones that are walking away are worried about what is it going to cost me later, because if the rates go up, I may not be able to afford this, or I may not want to afford this. So I think I'm hearing that builders are trying to get on
floating you down one time during the long-term lock, and that's
huge.
Peace of mind that they're looking for, that people are looking for.
Yep, it's good stuff. All right, pulse on the market. Some of the things I'm seeing, obviously, we talked about the 8 months of this consistent slowdown of sales volume, even though a slowdown of volume doesn't mean values are going to, because we still have the buyer demand outpacing the inventory of what's for sale. And that is everything, as we've talked about, to look at until we see the demand no longer outpace the demand and inventory climb consistently to where it gets to be even average. Terry, that's when we'll see things change faster than we're seeing it now, is if rates go above 6% and stay above that. I don't know. Do you see that ever happening with what the government's doing with rate increases?
So let's take a look at what happened over the last 3 months, okay? Rates went up faster than I've ever seen them, and I've been doing this 36 years, okay? I never felt rates being pushed through the roof high and as quickly as they did. They went from 2.75%, 3%, all the way up to 6.25%, 6.5%. Pushed them way over the 6% market, and the demand was still there. Why was the demand still there? Is because as rates were continuing to rise, so people were trying to buy something that's on sale today that they know is not going to be on sale tomorrow. So what we've seen in a slowdown here is that coming soon number keeps jumping back at me, 37, 37, 37. That's nothing on the coming soon. What I think, and you know that things have slowed down and things are settling, people are kind of saying, well, are rates coming down? So what happens if you know something's going to be on sale tomorrow? You're not going to buy it today.
Exactly.
So for the last 3 weeks, we've had a vacation lull. We've had people on vacation, but we've also seen that the rates are no longer rising. They're actually settling a little bit. So you have September, depending on, we got to wait on this economic data.
Yep.
2 months in a row will be starting to be a trend. 3 months is a trend, right? So we're 1 month where things look like they've settled down. If rates start to rise again, I'm going to see demand go up again, because people are going to want to get in before rates go to 6.5%, 7%. When they were going up as fast as they were, I was like telling people we could be at 7.25%. We don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
So, nobody can find the emergency brake.
So that's what I think's happening, and that's why we've seen a lull in loan applications and interest. Is we've seen a lower demand, but I think now that things are settling out, people are starting to, I'm getting more loan applications this week.
Yeah, it's going to get, I'm seeing that. No doubt buyers willing. That's the big trend, is there's more homes to choose from. And I like it when I set up searches right now for buyers. It's beautiful, because a year ago they'd be like, Darren, there's only 5 homes that meet my search criteria, and now there's 10 or 15. And so, or they're expanding out. I've got some buyers that are finally willing to expand out now up into southern Pennsylvania, over to West Virginia maybe, and all that. And so that obviously opens up, as you go further out, of a bigger radius area and all that stuff.
Well, the one thing that I've been seeing is that the days on market has gone to 36.
Yep.
Right? That's a big number, and that's a comfort number for people that are trying to buy a house. And what I mean by a comfort number is 6 months ago, the house that they wanted to see, and maybe it wasn't even the house that was perfect for them. They had to decide within 15 minutes whether they were going to put a contract offer in, because there were 32 people going through that now. Now it's at 36 days, but what I'm seeing, and I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, but what I'm seeing is I'll have somebody and they'll look at the house twice.
Yep.
They'll get the parents out there.
Yeah.
Say, okay, let's put a contract on it. And then all of a sudden there's multiple offers.
Yeah, I had that happen on mine.
And I think what's happening is once they decide they're going to put an offer in, and the listing agent gets a call, the listing agent starts calling everybody and going, hey, we've got an offer coming in, you guys, and that generates the multiple offers.
It does.
But so that's kind of what I've been seeing. Is that norm?
Yeah, I had that happen where it was so slow, and then all of a sudden we got a few showings, and then I got an offer. I sent it out to everybody that showed, and then all of a sudden got another one like right away. They were like, whoa, you got one? And it was like 7 days on the market. But that's about what I tell buyers now, is that don't be surprised if it seems like after 7 days or 10 days in the market, well, they're not getting any offers. There's not a lot of interest out there after all. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a second. By the time we're sitting writing an offer, somebody else is doing the same. That is definitely what we're seeing. But that's part of that slowdown, because before it would have been in 3 days in the market, they had 5 offers already and 5 on the way. So That's just that normal little change. But I've told buyers, you can't go home and wait and let's go look at 5 more and bring Uncle Bob next week. Next week, Uncle Bob will be out of his truck. He can come see the house. No, it's going to be gone by then, most likely, especially if I know the value and the condition are pretty darn good for what is out there. And that's a big thing, too.
Yeah. Well, listen to this. And this is still crazy, but anything on the water is prices are still getting blown out.
Yeah, they are.
Just crazy.
Yep.
So I have a client that's looking down in Annapolis, and he basically said, we've been looking at $2+ million homes, $2+ million homes, not. And he said, we've been looking, and they're so overpriced.
But they're still selling.
And he said the perfect one is coming on the market, or it's on the market. It's been there 3 days, but he says it's so overpriced that if I go in there, so he's playing a wait and see
if they'll come down in price, and then I'll offer game.
And then he'll offer. But he said you can't go in when they've been on the market for 3 days and say, okay, I'm going to give you $2 million instead of 2.5 because that's where it's worth. Like,
I would try it because you just never know.
You never know, but it's a very...
Yeah, it's interesting how that works too, that strategy. And that's part of the whole buyer strategy is like, what are we going to do? There's less competition on it. We're seeing definitely sellers more willing to give closing help a little bit, and to those if they don't have a lot of money to put down. Grant side, let's take the rest of the program and talk about grants. What's out there right now for first home buyers, professional jobs, what's out there, just what's going on. And the big question I always get is, well, is it credit driven? Is it income, location? Like, is there any reason why a buyer wouldn't qualify to get a grant right now?
Income is probably the number one, not probably. Income is the number one reason. So if you have a grant, what you have is you have the government, you have an agency, you have a bank like us. We're trying to drive home ownership. Okay, that's the big key. We want people to own homes. So what are we going to do with the grants is we're going to help people that don't have money get into a home. Down payment assistance. State of Maryland has a lot of programs. They're going to charge a higher interest rate. Okay, they're going to charge, in some cases, almost 7%.
Wow.
6.5% to get a grant to help with closing costs, down payment. They'll do as high as 6%. So the state of Maryland has an awesome programs. They also have the Smart Buy, which will pay off now up to $50,000 of student loan debt will be paid off by the state of Maryland. What's the catch? You got to live in that house for 5 years. You got to be a Maryland resident for 5 years.
Okay.
And then that payment back, that $50,000 gets forgiven at $10,000 per year. Awesome program. Awesome program. It also helps people, that have those big student loan debts that think that they can never own a house become homeowners. So grants are basically designed to drive home ownership. And it's very difficult, and it was very difficult during the crazy times to give people the grants that they needed because they were losing out on deals because they only had 3% down or no money down, yada, yada, yada. They were competing against the 20% downers and the cash deals. The tide has changed. So let's talk about what's available. Our Atlanta grant, we call it, the Federal Home Loan Bank grant that Presidential gives. It's an awesome program. We are running low on funds, but $7,500.
Yeah.
And let's think about this. If it's a one-person household, we're looking at $82,000. So if you make less than 82, you qualify for the grant. You can get $7,500 if you're a community partner. So a veteran, a community partner, anybody that works in the medical field, anybody that works in the education field. We did a maintenance worker at Montgomery College. We got him $10,000. How awesome is that?
Yep.
Okay. So it's a great program. It is available. Funds are running very, very low. Okay. So then we've got the HAP program here in Frederick County, $8,000 and $10,000 depending on income level. So it's all income driven.
Okay.
It's all income driven. Challenges that you have with credit, they are overlooked with the grants. It's really income driven. The grant people will let us decide whether the people are credit worthiness. So the only thing that they determine is how much. So we've got different grants. State of Maryland, your income can be over $100,000. It all varies. So if you're a first-time home buyer, and sometimes you don't even have to be a first-time home buyer, if you're a veteran, call me. We'll go over it and see what's available to you.
All right. Yeah, one of the things that's good, guys, you need to call Terry up about all the grants. He's got it all and knows it all. One of the things I get as we end the program is people ask, Darren, if I'm getting a grant, does it have to be disclosed to the seller in the offer? Like if I said, look, if you have to get the grant, to qualify to get the house, yes, it becomes a contingency because it's contingent upon you getting the grant or not. But how many situations, Terry, do we have that they're getting the grant because they can just qualify for it? And if they didn't get it, they could still buy the house. So it's not really a contingency at that point. That is really, really important for agents and people to understand, or buyers to understand, and sellers to know, if that's part of the whole thing. So this is something that's really important because that can be a game changer as far as, that. But yeah, I think it's a great thing having grants. But go ahead. We got 20 seconds.
20 seconds. We just had that situation where she applied for the grant. She qualified, but we go by household income. We didn't realize her son was living with her.
That's right. My last buyer.
Who made $20,000, pushed her over the limit. She was able to still settle. And it worked out. Everything was good. But yes, the grants are there. And if you can qualify, get them.
Yep, that's the bottom line. Always call and get it. All right, guys, thanks for tuning into Your Frederick Real Estate Update. Happy buying and selling this weekend. Have a good one, and we'll see you next week now. You can contact us anytime. Here comes our information.